And I'm DG.
Did you what?
I'm just DG.
Okay, so we are Obi and DG Aladi JB, and basically we've just felt the need to possibly share on issues that are currently ongoing in our nation, in the nations of the world. It's not just a national issue anymore.
Yeah.
When something is a pandemic, it's global. So it's something that has come upon us as the world or as a people. So what are basically your thoughts since all of this started? And when you first, started to hear all this, as in what first came to your mind?
Hmm. Well, for me, it was I had mixed feelings at first because I wasn't sure whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. The first question that really hit a lot of people, including myself, is this the devil? Is this God? Or is this just some man-made conspiracy, somewhere? So, and I think that's a big question in everybody's mind because um, depending on the perspective you want to stay as far as that is concerned will help. So yeah, my thought had been that okay, first of all, I want to look at where the risk and the rewards are. What are the gains? What are the benefits that will come to me as a result of this? And then what are the challenges that will come? And I would try to find a position to stay so that I can be happy, and not look at it, on the gloomy side, on the negative side. So yes, it's been an interesting time. It's a very interesting time. But in general, that's the way I've been managing, how I feel about
Yeah.
the yeah.
So for me, the first thing I kind of like thought of, was I first and foremost tried to see the good in it. One of the best things that people can embrace this period in the midst of a lot of negative news, negativities, flying here and there. Every minute you put up your phone or any media channel, you're just there's always some sort of bad news flying everywhere. So maintaining positivity was my first line of approach. I just thought about what is the good in this, because I'm a believer. We are believers. So there's really nothing that happens in the world today that number one our Father does not know about. And once you first and foremost know that our Father is aware, then we are certain also that His thoughts for us are that of good and not of evil. Yeah. So the first thing you have to do is, what is the thought of the Father? So my first approach was, I think that I went into a place of communion, deep fellowship. That Father, what are you saying in the midst of all of this? Yeah. What is happening? As in, I just wanted to know what His heart was, and it drove me into a place of deep consecration. Yeah. Like, I just wanted to hear what He was saying. And one of the first things I started to see when I talk about positivity was that I started to see that God was sanitizing the whole earth. He was sanitizing nations, organizations. He was sanitizing systems, restoring sanity into systems. So you look at healthcare, especially for us in Nigeria as a nation, it was as if God was sweeping through every part of the nation to ensure that things, as in people are invoked to thinking, things that were bad before. Yeah. We now get to see how bad our health sector is, how bad education is. Yeah. We are now seeing the loopholes. Yeah. We are confronting all the ugliness. So it's more of an awakening. It was more of an awakening that, see, business, we can't continue like this. People started to notice for the first time the level of hunger, the level of poverty in this country, the level of corruption. People started to really get awake. So what it now started to do is that people now were like, oh my God, we have work to do. We have work to do. We can't just keep sitting upon our high horses and thinking that, oh, nothing is happening. Well, we now start to think that, what can we do? Or how can we, partner with God to sanitize the system as He has started? And look at families. For the first time in a long time, families are getting to be together. Necessity has placed it upon, families. Women in previous times, you get your husband is always working.
Yeah.
Now he's
Now he has to
home.
be home.
Now he's home. Well, and children get to see their parents. They get to know, so there's family bonding. There's a lot happening. So what I'm just trying to say is that in the midst of all that is happening, you can actually choose to look at the brighter side of things.
Yeah.
There's always something God is doing that is bigger than what the enemy thinks is doing.
Yeah.
And it's always something that at the end of everything will bring us to an expectant end. Do you understand? So what for me, look at the brighter side of things. God is doing something there. And the best way to maintain your sanity and your peace in this period is to look at what He's doing. Shift your focus from what the enemy thinks He's doing to what God is actually doing. Because it's up to something.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. And just like what I also started, what I mentioned earlier, because the operations of man, the devil, and God on the earth has a link. Because literally any of them can advance the purposes of God on the earth. You remember, like we said, there was if you look at the scriptures, there was an incident where the Bible says Satan moved David to number Israel.
Absolutely.
There is another part that the Bible says God moved David to number Israel. And you wonder, okay, who is
at work here?
So you really cannot differentiate. In fact, to talk about the aspect of man, do you remember that even when Jesus was crucified, the crucifixion of Jesus was a conspiracy of man?
Absolutely.
So they were saying that they know they would not have crucified. Meaning that the people who engineered that conspiracy, they know at the time all this was happening, it was just a regular man-made conspiracy. Oh, this guy, is this and that. They didn't know whether it was God or the devil that was acting. This was just man that was doing their thing. So that means
in
that
man's
perspective,
he was perpetrating evil, not knowing that what he was doing was actually the will of God.
We knew that there were some bad guys, some of these Pharisees, they were bad guys. They were the ones, behind this conspiracy that led to the killing of Christ. But that's man-made. And as far as God is concerned, whether it's the devil or man, God's agenda will always come to pass. So in this situation, for example, even if the virus was manufactured in one lab, there's one conspiracy somewhere, some people are
that's
the ones
not the issue here.
It's not the issue. The bottom line is it brought the entire world to its knees. So, whoever has that capacity, there must be something of a more powerful force behind someone that has the ability to bring the entire world on their knees. So the issue here for me is perspective, and that's exactly what Obi has said, that when we take the God's perspective to things, we can now begin to see that, families are bonding better. For those of you who have ideas that you've been praying for time to work on, you have those kind of opportunities. For those who have really never had the chance to spend time with their kids, So all the value that the world is losing in money is being transferred into family wealth.
Absolutely.
And this is a one in a century kind of opportunity. I don't think we ever have this kind of business again for the rest of the lives of many of us. So I think it's something to be thankful for, and we have to make the most of it.
Absolutely. We really need to. So one of the things that I also thought of was how God literally is crediting believers with time. Like He rightfully said, things that we couldn't do before, we've been granted the opportunity to begin to start to do them. People are revisiting abandoned projects because on a normal day, you probably have to wake up very early in the morning and get to work. So you're on the road by 5 a.m. and you're probably getting back home by 10. But what God literally did was He brought the whole world to a halt, just so that He can credit us with time
Absolutely.
to take upon projects and to embark on things that we've always wanted to do but didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So He has halted the whole world so that you can have the time to do everything you always wanted to do.
Absolutely.
So when you start to see things from this perspective, you start to, rejoice in the midst of everything that, oh my God, I've just been giving time. You know what happens before is you are afraid when you are not doing anything. Or maybe you start to think that the whole world is running.
Yeah.
The whole world is leaving me behind.
Yeah.
The whole world is not leaving you behind
Everybody
anymore
is
because
on
everybody is
ground
on ground zero. Do you understand? So that is the perspective you can embrace and start to rejoice by, because in all things you must find a way to give thanks to God.
Yeah.
Because God is not unaware. Everything always has to work for our good.
Yeah.
It has to ensure that we are in the midst of all that is happening. There's always something that makes us excited. There's always something that we must thank Him for.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So, any last thoughts as it comes in this?
Well, I think again, as we reiterated, the most important thing we can all do now is to make most of the time, like you said, and the redemption of time is, in fact, I think when the Bible says redeeming the time, days are evil, in that there must be, for God to slow down the world, I think He is giving believers the opportunity to catch up.
Yes, sir.
Because maybe there's so much evil advancing, and that it was necessary for there to be a kind of a strategic retreat, a strategic infilling, a strategic capacity building for His people. And really, believers are the ones that can really make most of this kind of time.
Absolutely.
Because give believers time to lock up, know much work to do, value must increase. So days are evil. Yes, they are evil days. So
reminds us of the story of Elijah when the angel came to him and said, "Eat."
Yes.
And he came back to him a second time. He said, "Eat,"
exactly.
because the journey is still far.
Yes.
And the Bible records that what he consumed during that period lasted him 40 days.
Yes.
So what are you doing with your time? I think if you're done, are you done?
Yeah.
So basically, what we're saying is that how you utilize this time, because God literally put the world to a halt, brought it to a halt, because He wanted you to have time. So what you're doing with this time, what you're consuming, what you're hearing, the things that you're investing your time in this period is either what will cut things for you or what will lead you, project you forward. So ensure that you're feeding on the right things. Ensure that you're being led to, because it's not everything also that you should be listening to this period. You must be led on who to listen to and what to consume at this period. So, in the light of this, have a wonderful day and peace be unto you.
Peace be unto you.